The Pacific Division Sharks come into the fortress lacking bite with stars on the trading block. It's the Shark Tank in full effect.
Your Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco along with Chris Kollick, and we are brought to you by FanDuel. The midway point of the NBA season is here, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco, Chris Kollick from Las Vegas. We appreciate you making us your first listen, your team every day. Find us on Twitter at LockedOnVGK, Tony Dasco at TD Chris G. The YouTube channel is Locked On Golden Knights. Chris, first of all, I want to get some feedback from you on the crossover and tell the listeners about yesterday's roundtable in case they missed it with some of the members of the Locked On Pacific.
Yeah, the top four teams got together yesterday, had a little discussion. Oilers, Kraken, and the Kings, and we all kind of shed a little bit of light on what our teams are experiencing, maybe our biggest challenges, and then at the end we finished with predictions where we felt if we felt all four teams currently in playoff position would end in playoff position, and which team we felt might win the division. Certainly a good time catching up with them, and we're going to do it again between the regular season and playoffs to see kind of how everything shook out. But just a couple of Cliff's notes, the biggest challenges we faced, obviously, it's a combination of Mark Stone, Logan Thompson going down, and kind of who's going to take over. We talked about the team MVP. I wanted to say Jack Eichel. I wanted to say Logan Thompson. Both had times where they were either gone or not performing well. And then, so I landed on Alex Pietrangelo as far as my season MVP to date so far, just based on the minutes logged and the contributions to both sides of the ice. And then lastly, we went to who we felt would win the division if all four teams currently in the playoff position would end there. I do feel the four teams that are currently in the playoff position will end there. I don't see a team like the Flames or the Preds making that big of a leap. And then lastly, my prediction was the Oilers would sneak out the division when the dust settles.
Okay. You're not going to invite Cal Gary to any of the shenanigans.
No. The Flames, the Sharks, the Ducks, and
Vancouver.
Flames, Sharks, Ducks, whoever the other bad team in the Pacific is. I'm drawing a total blank right now. They can all be at the kiddie table, and they can come join the big kids table when they do better.
One of the teams that's in also ran, the San Jose Sharks, perhaps a lot of players on the block coming
Canucks,
up March 3rd.
Canucks.
As I said, Vancouver.
Okay, my bad.
March 3rd trade deadline, the winger, Timo Meier, much coveted perhaps by the Vegas Golden Knights, 48 points, 28 goals. And then defenseman Erik Karlsson enjoying his best season, best career, 64 points already, and he has 15 goals. Now, some of the rumors for these two players, we can get into that. Karlsson perhaps to Edmonton, and they would have to retain half of his salary plus two players and draft picks, and they still have some players that they have on that team that are pretty good. And of course, Timo Meier, and there's a lot of trade conversation about him. They are talking perhaps about Toronto as a landing spot. So we've got Karlsson and Timo Meier, and I still am not sure that VGK would be able to pull off a trade because what they're going to do, they're going to have to give up a defenseman, and perhaps that could be Alec Martinez, right, for Karlsson if they were to go that route. If they were to go for Timo Meier, which everyone would like to see here, VGK would have to give up a lot of assets. And I don't know, do they have all those assets? They would want a prospect. They would probably want a couple of players and probably want VGK to retain 50% with either player.
It's raining first round draft picks in the NHL right now. We saw the Tarasenko deal last night. We saw the McCabe deal with Toronto. So it's just crazy watching what's going to happen. And I mean, there might be 6 or 7, 8 big notable trades on the horizon. Is there a path to acquiring a $10 million player in Timo Meier? Financially, yes, depending on, unless there is a glimmer of hope for Mark Stone to come back during the regular season. Is that the right thing to do? I don't know. If Timo Meier there was a way to get him, it would be nice to see if there's a way to retain him. I know we can't keep on bringing on these $10 million players and stuff like that, but he is the crown jewel of free agency right now based on his output, his age, and for VGK, knowledge of the Pacific Division, which we'll have a lot of games with down the stretch, of course.
And so I know that another team that is in on Timo Meier, perhaps the prohibitive favorite would have to be the Devils. Devils and Leafs are the two that are mentioned the most. And Dr. Saravelli said that you're going to need 3 first-rounders for Karlsson.
That's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, But what Karlsson is doing on the offensive side of the blue line is remarkable. And I first caught it at the game I covered when they played the Sharks, and unfortunately the Sharks beat the Vegas Golden Knights. I think it was 5-2 back in October or November or something like that. Just a terrible game, unfortunately. But watching Erik Karlsson work that blue line was just magnificent. Either the way he's just able to keep the puck in as it's working its way out as the team is trying to clear it, or the way he creates space. This is such an important thing for defensemen. And it's drills you see in practice. Like, this is one of the main reasons I love telling people, hey, go check out a practice for a team so you can see the type of drills that the defensemen do, where they get the puck shot to them. I was watching one at Henderson a while back where you had a coach passing it to a defenseman on the point. They had to make a couple of moves. They had to chip the puck over like this mat and get it all the way through, to the net without it hitting anything. And it's just a short, quick example of the limited space that the defensemen have to work with when they're trying to get the puck on net. So fast forward to Erik Karlsson, watching him do it in real time with real opposing players trying to take the puck from him is awesome to watch. Where is Karlsson going to end up? I mean, that's like I said, you can't just move a $10 million or so player. I think he's around $10 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, for sure. He's around 10 million. And they're going to have to make some trades there. They're a selling team. They still have some talent, right? When you go through the roster of the Sharks, and I still can't understand why they couldn't win more games. But again, they're probably
I did the same thing, Tony. I looked up and down the roster. I'm like, okay, let's see here. Just going out by Florida. Barabanov is having a good year, 35 points on a cheap salary. Matt Benino is okay. Logan Couture, of course, is doing what he does. Tomas Hertl doing what he does. Yeah, Erik Karlsson, Kevin LeBlanc.
I'm not
Timo Meier, of course.
Hertl, all those guys.
Goaltending is obviously an issue right now. Looks like they're without everybody.
Hey, they have Chris making an appearance.
Oh yeah, Chris is here. They have Matt Kiniemi. He's 1-0-1 with a 2-1-3. Aaron Dell is back. We just saw Aaron Dell actually skating with the Barracuda a few weeks ago. So obviously he's made the jump right now. So, it's a team in limbo that's just they got some talent, but not enough. They don't have the low end talent to complement the high end talent. So I think it's just time to scrape it all and start fresh. And they started that process with getting rid of Brent Burns to Carolina in the offseason.
Okay, so goaltending, Capo Kakkonen, a .880 save percentage. I mean, this is a team that gives up nearly 4 goals per 60 minutes.
So looking at their recent games, though, they've actually had some pretty notable victories here. Going back to January, again, there's a lot of losses in here, don't get me wrong, but they lose here. Here's an odd one. They lose in Carolina 4-5. On the second end of the back-to-back, they beat Pittsburgh 6-4. That's how they end the All-Star break. Coming out of the All-Star break, they defeat the Tampa Bay Lightning on the road 4-3, lose on the road to Florida. They beat the Capitals on the road, and then they lose to Pittsburgh at home, and here they are in Vegas tonight. It's funny, the coach of the Avs, I mentioned a back-to-back, and the coach of the Avs is chirping about back-to-backs right now. He's mad they have too many of them. Schedule's rigged.
It's definitely rigged. James Reimer's there. Oh, the Kakinen, his save percentage is the third worst in the NHL. Is this a rivalry?
Of course, it's a rivalry. Definitely, it's
Is it still? Is
it's
it
a
still
rivalry.
a
Of course,
rivalry?
the fan.
If it's
Listen, there's
one-sided,
hates. There is when a fan base has hates, and I don't mean this in a bad way. It's just how it is.
including you.
You know, I just locked
You're
on
bitter.
Sharks. I don't dig those guys. I don't dig those guys. I'm fine with the Sharks.
You're so bitter. You're so bitter.
A little bit. So is it a rivalry? Of course, it's a rivalry. I mean, it's not forgotten what happened in the not a major nonsense and all that, and all the chirping that their fans did when about that, and they should. I mean, that's the Sharks haven't had a lot to be excited about, and their two biggest things to date are taking out the Golden Knights in the not a major nonsense, and then last season basically ending our season at T-Mobile Ice. So I mean, that's a rivalry, and we owe them a game, right? We owe them a game. We owe them a game from earlier in the season. We owe them a game for ending our season twice. So that's a rivalry. That's also what makes it fun.
Yeah, they put up a banner, right, for knocking VGK out of the playoffs.
Oh God, yeah. Just the Nashville Predators regular season champions too. They got one also. It's right next to that one.
Coming up next, we've got some comments yesterday from Bruce Cassidy on the importance of winning these divisional games, especially against teams that are in contention. We'll get to that when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. The midway point of the NBA season is here, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet of up to $1,000. That's bonus bets if your first bet does not win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, it's secure, it's super easy to use, and then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scorers and threes drained. And there's a lot to discuss when you're talking about FanDuel. Of course, there's some big markets for FanDuel. You can bet against the spread. You've got money line. You've got player props. You've got rebounds, assists, all of that. And then even FanDuel lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. So don't miss it. Don't miss your chance to get your no sweat first bet of up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Kardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas, and we appreciate you making us your first listen each and every day. Thank you so much for doing that. Please subscribe, if you will, to our YouTube channel. Of course, that's Locked On Golden Knights. So Bruce Cassidy, he met with the media yesterday. Have you noticed that he's rocking a little less now that the team is on a winning streak? Have you noticed that? And he said on Wednesday that his team has to defeat teams within the Pacific Division, and especially those who are competitive or ahead of them in the standings, or teams that are closing in on them. So he had put a lot of emphasis, particularly on the Pacific Division. Little Chris, what are you up to, man? Shenanigans? What's he doing there?
He's watching your face bounce around right now.
You like that, Chris, huh? Pretty cool.
That's called a Tony meme. That's what he does when he does that in real life when Erik Karlsson gets a goal or an empty netter. He does that in real life. You got to see it. It's pretty cool. He also does karate chops and stuff and all sorts of weird things. All right, so Bruce Cassidy, we're talking about him swaying in division games and all that stuff right now. So listen, I mean, division games, you have to take care of home, right? And obviously home games are taking care of home, but after that, you got to win your division games. And the Golden Knights have not done a great job of that. I mean, we got to play the Ducks recently. Yay, we'll take that. Hopefully it's a layup tonight against the Sharks. This is the game, though, you hope the team does not overlook. This is a trap game tonight. You got Tampa coming in on Saturday. Obviously, you do a little more planning when a team like Tampa comes to town versus the San Jose Sharks. But again, even though it's technically not because the Sharks aren't in playoff contention, it's still a 4-point game as far as the swings and stuff like that. And just imagine where VGK would be if they could have performed better against the Pacific Division. I think they're still sub 500, maybe 6-8, 5-7, 6-9, somewhere in that area, but they are a sub 500 team, oddly enough, in the softest division hockey. oddly enough, they're still in first place in the Pacific and probably back to top 6 or 7 in overall standings in the NHL, I would assume.
And Bruce Cassidy's still trying to figure out this division, I believe. And so he's having some difficulties solving some of these teams. And there's a team, again, I don't understand why you're overlooking Calgary. They could be back in contention, especially if VGK is at the top of the heap, because VGK plays Calgary 3 more times. He mentioned in Edmonton twice more. So those could be some pretty big games.
Yeah, Minnesota is kind of on the free fall right now. Unfortunately, Marc-Andre Fleury is not having a great time. And I mean, geez, are they going to try and do something there? Pardon me. Nashville is still kind of hanging around. For whatever reason, they've only played 51 games where everyone else has played 54, 55 games. So Nashville is still kind of in the fold. St. Louis is obviously, I think, where we draw the line, so to speak. So of these 4 teams, maybe you look at it like this. Not even of these 4 teams. I mean, I'll say it again. There's still only a 7-point spread of winning the Pacific Division and being out of the playoffs. And that's something we also did talk about yesterday in the roundtable. And that's the odd thing. All 4 of these teams, all 4 of the top Pacific teams, all have goaltending questions. We know the VGK situation. The LA Kings are relying on friggin' Phoenix Copley to take him to the promised land right now. Phoenix Copley. Like that's like Michael Hutchison status. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Just that's a player you did not expect to be relying on down the stretch. That's all I'm saying there. Seattle with Grubauer. There he goes again. Seattle with Grubauer and
slander. You haven't had that slander for go ahead.
Okay. Seattle, you got Grubauer and Jones, right? We love Jones. We love Jones. And then Edmonton never will figure out their goaltending situation because that's what the Edmonton Oilers do. The Flames might actually, Chris is shaming him right now. The Flames might actually have the best goaltending situation in Markstrom. I don't know. I haven't looked in a while.
Yeah. These games are 4-point games, no matter how you look at them, no matter how you view them. I was going to say you haven't had any slander for these teams in a while. VGK 6-7-2. I found the stats against the Pacific Division. You got to do better.
Yeah,
not good enough. No, they're not going to win the division if they are a sub 500 team. And the emphasis again against teams that they're battling for playoff positions. Now, is Cassidy getting ahead of the cart ahead of the horse here by saying that they're battling teams for playoff positions because he's assuming that they're going to be in the playoffs right now?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's tough. It's strange right now trying to figure out, what he's saying. And listen, again, he's saying these things to hopefully get back to the team and get them to have, some bite, some bark, whatever that may be. And it's all cliches, right? I mean, the deeper into the season we get, the cliches come, whether you're a team contending for a playoff spot, contending for a division, the President's Trophy, whatever it is. This is definitely Clicheville. Whether you're on a team right now where you might be traded, it's all we're just going to play the schedule in front of us, or going to worry about the things that I can only control. And this is all cliche time right now. Chris wants to do a quick standings update on the division right now. Go ahead, Chris. Fire away.
Taking a photo of me.
VGK is first in the division. LA is second. Seattle third. Edmonton is fourth. Now, I was shocked by this. Anaheim is minus 92.
Their goal differential is minus 92?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
I was shocked when I saw that.
I am shocked too.
Vegas is in first, but they're terrible in the league. They're not.
Yeah. He's grown up right before our very eyes. You know that? Since we started doing this together.
Oh, God, yeah.
Big.
He's having a blast doing that. So thanks a little bit.
So thanks, brother.
He's got one more. Oh,
one more. Is 7th and minus 40.
7th in the division and minus 40.
Yeah.
Is he going to the game tonight?
I'm not going to the game tonight.
Is he going? No,
we're not going tonight. No, I'm when my schedule changed, I decided to schedule a card show and to do some work tonight.
Nice. So I just you kind of slipped it in there, but what was Jared Bednar saying about?
Oh, so yeah, just he basically his quote was something along the lines of teams are always waiting for us, alluding to they're playing the back-to-backs, not getting teams who are playing the back-to-backs.
So, how about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Listen, when things aren't going well after lifting the Stanley Cup, you start chirping a little bit, you know?
It's so rigged. This league is rigged. We know that. So rigged. Coming up next, we will have our locks of the night and our game prediction. Don't go away right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick here. And again, please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights, and check out our Twitter at Locked On VGK. A lot of good, crisp content there waiting for you. And so the one kind of odd stat, the last 3 games after the All-Star break, VGK, as we mentioned a couple days ago, has scored 5, 5, and 7 goals. In each of those games, Chris, it's been different goal scorers in each and one. So each game, so that 5 goals, 5 different scores, 5 more, 5 different scores, 7 goals, 5 different scores. So they're getting contributions from everyone. So we never had this on our bingo card as far as who is going to fill in for Mark Stone. This is great contributions from a lot of unsung heroes too.
Yeah, and this is a reminder of season 1 in a sense where season 1, James Neal was, the leader, right? He was the one the team relied on. But after James Neal, you had so much secondary scoring on the team up and down the line. And it's happening this year right now. Pietrangelo, obviously, his numbers stand out. Even Jack Eichel, his numbers still stand out. Mark Stone's numbers did stand out before, obviously, he went down. And now all of a sudden, Paul Cotter quietly getting there. Phil Kessel is putting up points right now. We've been saying this for a while now. Phil Kessel, it's all we had to hold on to with Kessel. When's he going to turn it on? He's turning it on right now. Will Carrier, I mean, you can't say enough about what he's done for this team. We can go on and on and on about what's happening right now, but take care of business tonight, and let's put up another Yahtzee tonight.
Yeah, we saw Phil Kessel when he wants to assert himself, he does. It's kind of funny actually, because he just was preserving himself. Let's keep the Iron Man streak intact. And
I honestly don't think he cares. Tony, I'm going to be honest. I don't think he cares. I don't think he cares about the Iron Man streak. I think he cares about preserving himself. I think he cares about having himself in a spot to go deep into the playoffs and help the team as the games get more important. But I don't know. I get the vibe he doesn't care. And I don't mean that badly either. I don't mean that in a bad way whatsoever. I just honestly think he's cool. He's cool. Whatever happens, happens. He's cool.
So let's do predictions and our, of course, locks of the night. I'm going to go a VGK 6-3. So, who's going to be in net tonight? 6-3 VGK. Who are we going to see for the Sharks?
Oh, who cares about the Sharks? But I mean, I'm actually more curious about the VGK side. Saturday, most likely, I should say, sometimes Cassidy surprises us. Saturday is going to be Aiden Hill. Does Brossoit make his debut tonight? That's the question. We'll find out when they practice. I mean, I think he should, but also
Hill against his former team. Hill is going to want to beat his former team, maybe.
And that's also fair. That's definitely fair. And there's always the coaches always have a knack for those types of matchups and stuff like that. But just real quick, while we got a second, like you got 2 real tough games, right? You got San Jose and Tampa. Then you go to Chicago on Tuesday. It almost makes a little more sense to get the win tonight. Make sure you have your goalie who's ready out there. You go back to back with Hill Thursday and Saturday. And then Chicago, you ease Brossoit back in. And then we got Calgary, Dallas, Colorado. On the other side of that, you find a spot for Brossoit to go. And then look into the following week, you got Montreal. You got Florida that same week. You got St. Louis and Philly the following week. Columbus and Vancouver. Like there's so many soft spots for Brossoit if they want to ease him back in. It's a different world. Is he ready? Sure. Did he earn this opportunity in the AHL? By all means, yes. But once the lights go on, who knows? And it would be very unfortunate if Brossoit did go in and didn't have a good start and they couldn't get there tonight.
Yeah, and VGK's had another all-star break. He gave him all sorts of time off. go out, get liquored up, all that. So
see my comments about the scheduling. Roses are red, violets are blue, and how I felt about the scheduling for that game on Sunday. I'm going to keep the train going here. I'm keeping my Yahtzee train. 5-1 VGK. 5-1. I'm going 5-1 until I'm nowhere near it.
This is a revenge game for the VGK, obviously.
It's always a revenge game, but a little more than normal, yes.
Yeah, and they want to establish themselves here and get those much needed points. And my locks of the night, okay, I'm going to go first because I'm going to go with Petro and White Cloud.
Ooh, Petro, I like White Cloud. I like White Cloud.
Yeah.
White Cloud gave a real nice interview with me too at the Night to Remember at the gala. I really just enjoyed talking with him in that setting, and a little bit of hockey, a little bit of not hockey, and his perspective of his game and all that. It was definitely gave some good content for us.
Okay, who are yours?
I gotta go Eichel tonight, just because it just feels like he's on the verge of like a 4-point game right now. It feels like he's about just to explode. All signs are pointing there, and let's go Kessel again. Just because we talked about him. So Eichel's going to explode. Kessel is contributing in a regular level right now. So it's nice. It's nice to see. Are we the beneficiaries of a soft schedule after the All-Star break? Fine. But we've also lost a lot of games during soft schedules earlier in the season too. So, it's all good. We'll take it.
By the way, that Golden Knights Foundation, A Night to Remember, the gala,
yes. Yep,
raised more than 1.2 million. So that's really good.
That did not surprise me one bit when it was $500 for general admission, $1,250 for basically an extended private meet and greets. And then looking at the items they were auctioning off, the prizes, the goofy prizes they did as well. Alec Martinez. This is actually pretty funny. Alec Martinez won a prize at the events. He won a helicopter ride with Marchessault and someone else. He was actually the high bidder for it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But $1.2 million, you see where that money goes back to in the community. And it's remarkable. I mean, we throw some shade at VGK for things that do happen on the ice and, whatever shenanigans they're up to, but they do show up for the community. And we've known that since day one, going back obviously to the 1 October tragedy and everything since then. So major kudos to the Vegas Golden Knights for just being role model citizens for professional sports in the city and a roadmap for what other teams need to do when they come here. The Raiders obviously need to follow suits. Of course, all the athletics talk right now. And then, you got WNBA, we got soccer, and we got basketball, and like 4 different football leagues all of a sudden. So, it's all Detroit or the Vegas Vipers make WTF on Friday, but I'm going to save it for them.
Okay, that's awfully good. Oh, I've got a little. Okay, before we have to talk about this. So we have to. You brought up the Vegas Vipers. This is classic. So all of their teams are based in Texas, right?
Okay.
So they're all down there, and they're going to depart from Texas and come here for the games. Okay, so but here's a little wrinkle. Both teams will be on the same flight. Is that a disaster waiting to happen? I think back in the day, either it was like the Las Vegas Stars, AAA baseball team, which later became obviously the 51s,
right?
And now the Aviators. They did something like that. I think there was a fight on one of those plane.
That's flights. Awesome.
So we're gonna have to keep an eye on that.
Awesome.
And then did you get from T-Pain any tips on auto tune, like on how to make our show better?
On wait,
what? Just video. Auto tune.
What are you talking? How did Britney Spears get in this conversation?
You don't know what auto tune is? That's singing.
No, I know what. That's why I said. That's why I said, how did Britney Spears get in this conversation?
Oh, okay.
There was something on, now that we're completely off the rails. There was something on. It was America's Got Talent, I want to say, where there was one of the judges was a known auto tune person. I forgot who it was, and there was a male singer, and she was criticizing him. And he fires back and says, "That's why you use auto-tune and I don't." Then they go to Simon Cowell, who literally spits out his Pepsi or Coke or whatever sponsored beverage he was drinking. So you said auto-tune, that got me going.
All right, we got auto tune. Hopefully, we can install that by tomorrow. Maybe something with our cameras too. My camera, especially. Coming up
Whatever.
tomorrow, we'll recap the game from tonight. We'll have our What the Friday, and much more on the way. And of course, we'll have some storylines coming out of tonight's game. And I just hope the Sharks show up so it's a fun game or entertaining game at least for a while.
I want to see
For my
VGK
man,
play a tight game right now. I do. I want to see how they respond.
okay, a little adversity doesn't hurt. Look, for my
But don't
man,
hit Timo Meyer. Are they going to go after Timo Meyer tonight? Is this where like Jordan and Pippen beat the crap out of Tony Kukoc before they signed him? Is that what's going to happen tonight?
well, you said that Trevor Zegras was a marked man the other night
He was, but he deserved it.
by VGK. Okay. For my man, little Chris, for Big Chris,
Hey,
Chris Golick, TD Chris G on Twitter. Need to get this little guy a Twitter
Eventually.
I'm Tony Cardasco. We appreciate you all making us your first listen each and every day. Find us again on our YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights. And take care. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights.